Hello, welcome back to our lecture series. You can start at slide 20 of your student copy of this lecture. And again, here are the reminders for our session for today. As a reminder guys, we have a task on hand kahit na asynchronous tayo today. So first task is to fill in the blanks on the provided handouts by watching the pre-recorded lectures. And then next, habang nanonood kayo ng mga series of lectures, be guided, no? Kasi i-guide kayo kung kailan kayo pwedeng mag-take na ng homework if ever natapos nyo na yung certain topics. Halimbawa, from slide 1 to, halimbawa lang, slide 1 to 10, you will do the homework 1, and so on. Basta be guided on the pre-recorded video. Third is to accomplish the homeworks before 5 p.m. today, January 25, 2020. If ever nagkaroon tayo ng problema sa internet connection, please heads up nyo kami, no? Message lang tayo via Canvas inbox. Then lastly, for the laboratory session, yung worksheets nyo should be uploaded before February 1, 2020. Next week yon, no? Before 12 noon, kailangan naka-upload na. And make sure tama ang i-upload nating file dahil one attempt lang yung nakaset dun sa ating assignment. Let's start with the biochemistry of your carbohydrates. Balikan natin yung mga confusing terms of your glycogenolysis, glycolysis, gluconeogenesis. So, ano yung mga differences between these terms? So, first, pag-usapan natin is glycogenesis. And glycogenesis, hatiin natin yung ating terms, no? The formation or the synthesis of your glycogen from the simple or from the simpler form of glucose. Kaya siya glycogenesis. Genesis means the formation or the beginning of the formation of the glycogen. Next term is glycogenolysis. So, breakdown natin ng ating term, glycogen and lysis. Lysis means to destroy, okay? So, basically, this term is described as the breakdown of your glycogen to form back into the simpler form as glucose. So, pabalik from glycogen to glucose is glycogenolysis. From glucose going to glycogen, glycogenesis. Lastly, your gluconeogenesis is the formation of your glucose from non-sugar compounds. So, from this term, neogenesis, new formation from the non-sugar. Ibig sabihin, hindi sucrose, lactose, yung may mga ending na or the suffix of OSE. So, ano tong mga non-sugar compounds? Ibig sabihin, yung mga lipids and proteins, no? Doon galing si glucose. So, yun yung term na yan. For lipid formation, basically, the liver can produce its own lipids, no? Through gathering of your free fatty acids from your food. And then, i-compile niya as one big molecule called your acetyl-CoA. And this is what we call in the biochemistry, no? Yung mother compound. Dito, pwedeng manggaling ang mga glucose, lipids, and even proteins. Pwede dito lahat manggaling. Okay? And it is said that 70% of the cholesterol can be produced by your liver. Kaya nga sinasabi natin, no, always limit your fatty diet kasi ang liver mo mismo, no, kaya na mag-produce on its own ng cholesterol. If ever, no, nakapag-intake ka ba nakakapag-intake ka pa ng more than what you need, doon na tayo nagkakaroon ng problema called your dyslipidemia. And again, the metabolism of these lipids can be done using the lipoproteins or apolipoproteins na ginagawa din ng ating liver. Pero in this lecture, hindi na ako babalik with your VLDL, HDL, and LDL. Back in your CC1. Protein metabolism naman. Diba sabi natin, no, as a rule, all proteins can be synthesized or can be formed in the liver. Pero sa bawat rule, there are exceptions. So, ano exceptions natin dito? The proteins, immunoglobulins, and adult hemoglobin are not synthesized in the liver. Saan ginagawa ang immunoglobulin? Sa ating mga plasma cells. Ang adult hemoglobin naman ginagawa in the RBC. Next naman, all coagulation factors are produced by the liver except your von Willebrand factor, and this factor is synthesized by the blood vessels. No? So, ito ang exception sa lahat. Kung magkakaroon ka man ng sickness or liver disease, ito lang ang magiging normal. And the next rule is that all hematopoietic proteins. Ano ibig sabihin ng hematopoietic? Ito yung mga proteins that help to signal the bone marrow to produce blood cells. Okay? Ano itong mga hematopoietic proteins? These are your number 1, erythropoietin, thrombopoietin, and your mga CSF, colony-stimulating factors. Okay. So, ano ang exception naman dito? So, ang exception is your erythropoietin kasi some of the erythropoietin is produced by the kidneys. So, tandaan yung ating mga exceptions. Another role of the liver is to detoxify the chemical compounds you normally intake, no? Ang mga processes by which the liver can detoxify your liver is through number 1, the first pass effect. Paano to nangyayari? Ito yung ang drugs mo kasi, no, before yan pupunta diretso sa bloodstream mo, pupunta dun sa target organ, pupunta muna siya sa liver para pumasa. No? Kasi ang mga medication, ano pa rin yan? Man-made yan. No? So, basically, may mga compounds dyan na delikado kapag na-reach yung bloodstream. So, bago sila pumunta sa bloodstream mo, pupunta muna kay liver para ma-neutralize yung dapat in-neutralize, ma-eliminate yung dapat ma-eliminate dun sa na-intake mong gamot. Okay? And this is done through using this enzyme called cytochrome P450 enzymes. And these enzymes are what we call the drug metabolizers, no? And ito ay makikita lang sa liver. Okay, let's proceed with the liver function alterations brought about by certain conditions na i-discuss natin maya-maya. So, una sa mga conditions na nakapag-alter ng liver function is the jaundice. So, anong meron sa jaundice? Jaundice is actually called icterus previously kasi icter means yellowing, no? Kasi in jaundice, there is a yellowish pigment accumulation under the skin. So, manilaw-nilaw yung mga patient na nagkakaroon ng jaundice. And jaundice, yung yellow pigmentation na yon, it is brought about by the elevated bilirubin content of the blood. And once yung bilirubin content ng blood, no, madami na masyado na pwedeng nang pumasok dun sa blood-brain barrier natin, nagkakaroon na tayo ng kernicterus. Kernicterus is actually the yellow staining accumulation of the meninges of the brain. And very toxic ang bilirubin sa brain. So, madalas, no, yung mga nagkakaroon ng kernicterus, meron silang signs of encephalopathy. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng encephalopathy in terms of signs and symptoms? Para silang, ang tawag dito, wala na silang sense of control sa katawan. No? May mga patient na nagtatanggal na lang ng mga swero nila, yan, nagbawala sa hospital. So, and then, makikita mo, very yellow na yung skin, you have to suspect na meron silang encephalopathy brought about by kernicterus. And jaundice can be classified as pre-hepatic, hepatic, and post-hepatic. Okay, as an overview of the differences of these types of jaundice. Basta pag pre-hepatic, ang ibig sabihin niyan, merong mga events that leads to jaundice prior to your liver. No? Bago pa makarating sa liver, meron ka ng problema. So, madalas, ang problem natin dyan nasa bloodstream, no? Bago pumunta sa liver. Pag hepatic jaundice naman, ang ibig sabihin, solely sa liver ang problem. Pag post-hepatic jaundice, ang problem natin dyan, yung mga structures after the liver. Ano ba yung mga structures na yan? Yung ating mga ducts, okay, cystic duct, common bile duct, gallbladder, even your pancreas, duodenum, yung mga yan, na pwedeng magkaroon ng problem, causing the post-hepatic jaundice. Okay, tatandaan yan. Pag pre-hepatic, before the liver, hepatic, sa liver mismo, post-hepatic, yung mga structures sa bile flow after the liver. Daanan muna natin si pre-hepatic jaundice. The main cause of this condition is that there is too much of unconjugated bilirubin going to the liver, resulting to number 1, masyadong maraming bilirubin, and number 2, masyadong maraming serum iron. Bakit kaya maraming serum iron? Remember, saan ba galing yung unconjugated bilirubin na pumupunta sa liver? From the destruction of your RBC. And RBC destruction will release the free heme, proteins, and iron. So, mataas din ang iron content dapat in pre-hepatic jaundice. Okay? Kaya, kung i-compare natin anong fraction ng bilirubin, anong type of bilirubin ang pinakamarami kapag pre-hepatic jaundice, always the unconjugated bilirubin over your conjugated. The classic example of the condition causing pre-hepatic jaundice is hemolytic anemia. Dahil nga galing lahat ng unconjugated bilirubin from the RBC destruction. Next type is hepatic jaundice, and it is primarily caused by number 1, disorders of bilirubin conjugation. May mali in either of the enzymes present in the liver. Number 2, bilirubin transport. May problema yung bilirubin palabas from your liver. So, nasa-stock up inside the liver cells. And then next, your hepatocellular injuries, which is caused by number 1, mga cancer. Halimbawa, viruses, and other types of hepatitis. And in this type of jaundice, both your unconjugated bilirubin and conjugated bilirubin can be increased. Bakit kaya? Kasi sa loob, halimbawa dito sa disorders of your bilirubin, naiipon si unconjugated and conjugated dahil hindi sila makalabas out of your liver. So, mataas both yung UB and CB during laboratory measurement. Some of the example of conditions causing hepatic jaundice are as follows. Halimbawa, mataas ang UB and CB, unconjugated and conjugated, pero more on unconjugated ang mas mataas. Itong mga cases na to: Gilbert disease, Crigler-Najjar syndrome, and jaundice of the newborn. Kapag solely mataas lang ang conjugated bilirubin over the unconjugated, ang problem is yung possible is Dubin-Johnson and Rotor syndrome. And special itong group of conditions na to dahil yung conjugated bilirubin nila is very unique. Kasi ang conjugated bilirubin is now bound to your albumin or tinatawag natin delta bilirubin, which is supposedly hindi dapat. Didiscuss natin yan later on, no? Okay, balikan natin si Gilbert disease. Gilbert disease is actually a disorder wherein your enzyme called uridine diphosphoglucose glucuronil transferase or your UDP GT is absent or deficient. And remember this type of in this type of enzyme, ito yung may sole role in your conjugation process. Ang conjugation is very important para makalabas out of the liver yung ang ating bilirubin. If walang process of conjugation, mananatili yung ating unconjugated bilirubin in its form, no? Therefore, walang lalabas out of the liver. Next, Crigler-Najjar syndrome. Ang problem naman natin again, your glucuronic acid conjugation brought about a different type of enzyme called bilirubin glucuronil transferase. So, etong both din na to, no, may problem tayo with the process of conjugation. Okay? Pero ang difference nila is the enzyme involved. So, tandaan lang natin yung difference nila. Sa Gilbert disease, yung ating UDP-GT, Crigler-Najjar, yung ating bilirubin glucuronil transferase. So, for further differences lang, no? Gilbert disease is more common pero less severe, no? More common in the population, pero less severe, less fatal, mas nabubuhay sila. Because of, meron pa ring conjugation na nangyayari kahit na ang UDG-GPT mo ay kulang or wala. Kasi meron ka pa rin bilirubin glucuronil transferase dito. Dito naman, no, less common sila pero very fatal. Due to that reason na ang conjugation process almost always absent. No? Mas malala si Crigler-Najjar, mas common naman si Gilbert disease. Next condition is Dubin-Johnson syndrome. Dito naman, ang problem natin dito is that there is a defective removal of the conjugated bilirubin from the liver cell palabas ng liver. As a result, yung conjugated bilirubin mo naiipon lang sa loob ng liver. And in autopsy sa mga patient na nagsasuffer ng ganitong condition, meron silang dark staining granules in the liver due to the abnormal accumulation of bilirubin inside the liver. Si Rotor syndrome naman, no, defect is actually unknown, no? And ang theory dito is that there is a reduction of your ligandin which is involved, no, in the conversion of your unconjugated to conjugated bilirubin. And in this type of conditions, parehas silang mataas ang unconjugated bilirubin. Pero saan sila nagdi-differ? Mag-autopsy ka or biopsy, no? Sa Dubin Johnson, dito lang yung may dark stain. So tandaan natin, Dubin may dark staining. Sa Rotor syndrome naman, walang ganitong dark staining granules. So, yun ang differences nila. So, pag-usapan naman natin yung mga jaundice in newborns. So, madalas kayo makakita ng mga babies, no, na may naninilaw na binibilad nila sa araw para mawala yung paninilaw nila. So, meron tayong mga cases na tinatawag natin physiologic or tinatawag natin normal na jaundice lang. Bakit nangyayari itong physiologic jaundice? So, in some babies na may paninilaw, no, ibig sabihin nun may namamatay na mga maternal blood or mga old fetal blood cells nila, no? Kasi ang fetal cell, fetal RBC contains the fetal hemoglobin which is not konti lang or maikli lang ang lifespan dahil nga hindi maganda yung hemoglobin content ng mga fetal hemoglobin. So, madalas namamatay sila, napapalitan sila ng bago. And in terms of yung may mga maternal blood sa bloodstream nila, namamatay din yon as well. So, nagiging yellow sila dahil ng RBC destruction will result to increased bilirubin content. So, therefore, etong normality na to, usually wala ka dapat ika-worry kasi wala namang associated disorder sa liver, yan, sa sa gallbladder, sa pancreas, so walang problema. And this type of jaundice occurs after 2 to 3 days after nilang mapanganak. Okay? Doon pa lang nagbe-burst out yung mga RBC ng fetus, fetal RBC and maternal RBCs. And kung aaralin mo sila in laboratory, madalas sa kanila mataas lang yung unconjugated bilirubin. Kasi, yun nga, RBC hemolysis lang ang nangyayari. And after 2 weeks, usually na-resolve na yung kanilang paninilaw, no? And madalas, no, hindi naman kailangan gamutin, no? Hindi kailangan ipa-confine sa hospital. And this type of jaundice also cannot produce kernicterus. So, walang problema pagdating sa brain development ni baby. Dahil hindi nagpa-pass through sa blood-brain barrier yung kanilang bilirubin. Unlike this type of jaundice, na tinatawag natin pathologic jaundice of the newborn. This type of jaundice is usually associated with a certain disorder, no? Genetic, madalas genetic. And it occurs within 24 hours after giving birth, no? Bago ka palang lumabas ng hospital, nakikita mo na naninilaw na si baby. And in laboratory, mataas both unconjugated and conjugated bilirubin because there must be an associated disorder. Kunwari, liver, gallbladder, or pancreas. And this type of pathologic jaundice, kailangan niya ng treatment, no? Because it can persist after 2 weeks. Dilaw na dilaw pa rin si baby mo kahit paarawin mo pa yan kasi kailangan ng mas matinding treatment, no? Meron tayong tinatawag na UV light treatment, no? Ultraviolet treatment, yun ay ginagawa din sa mga pathologic jaundice. And then lastly, dahil nga mataas yung level of bilirubin sa bloodstream, it could pass through your BBB or the blood-brain barrier. So, makikita mo sa patient, they will present signs of kernicterus. Halimbawa, ang signs of kernicterus sa mga baby, matamlay sila, no? Hindi sila paladede, yung mga yan. Hindi iyakin, hindi masyadong makilos, no? Wala silang masyadong mga reflexes, kumbaga, yun yung tamang term, reflexes. So, baka, no, mag-suspect ka na nagpa-pass through na yung bilirubin sa kanilang BBB. Next is the post-hepatic jaundice. Sa post-hepatic jaundice, ano ulit ang pinatanda ko sa inyo? Mga structures after your liver, yun ang may problema. And madalas na problema is the biliary obstruction. Na-obstruct yung bile flow after the liver. And in this type of jaundice, it could result to number 1, clay-colored stools. Ano ibig sabihin ng clay-colored stools? Kulay gray, white, or minsan parang lightest brown, no, na type of stool color, no, ang meron sa kanila. And pagdating naman sa urine, dark urine or tinatawag nating tea-colored urine. So mukhang C2 yung kanilang ihi. And we have to take note in this type of jaundice is that liver is almost always normal. Okay? So, hindi, madalas silang maapektuhan lang if ever severe na yung obstruction, na umaangat na yung obstruction papunta sa liver. Naiipon yung bile and na bumabalik na yung bile pabalik sa liver. Okay, recall natin yung mga laboratory measurement and fractions of your bilirubin na ano yung kanilang expected results, okay, pagdating sa mga conditions na to. So, halimbawa sa pre-hepatic. Sa pre-hepatic, tandaan natin, di ba, ang problem natin is before the liver, okay? So, ibig sabihin, anything about the bloodstream. So, about RBC destruction yan or mga hemolytic anemia. So, ano ang pinaka-expected results natin dyan? So, una, total bilirubin is increased dahil ang increased fraction na normally makikita nyo is the unconjugated bilirubin. The conjugated bilirubin is not affected or normal pa din. Dahil ito ang may problema. No? Mas madami yung RBC turnover, mas madami ngayon ang unconjugated bilirubin. So therefore, sa total bilirubin, increase sila. So next, yung mga hepatic conditions natin, balikan natin sila Gilbert, Crigler-Najjar, Lubin-Johnson, and Rotor, and jaundice of the newborn. Okay, as a recall, di ba sa hepatic jaundice, mataas ang both unconjugated bilirubin and conjugated bilirubin. So, increase, 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 increase. What about sa conjugation? Di ba, naalala nyo, ang problem natin sa Gilbert and Crigler-Najjar is the process of conjugation. Sa Gilbert, almost meron pa ring conjugation na nangyayari dahil yung specific enzyme is yung UDP-GT natin, yun lang ang may problema. Okay? Yung bilirubin glucuronil transferase, okay pa rin. So, normal dapat dito. No? Sa Crigler-Najjar, ano ang nangyayari? Decrease ngayon si conjugated bilirubin dahil walang nangyayari at all. Walang conjugation, kaya nga ang consideration is ito ang mas fatal than your Gilbert. Ito ang expected result nila. So next, your Dubin-Johnson and Rotor. So tandaan lang natin, di ba, the Dubin-Johnson and Rotor has a problem that could result to increase conjugated bilirubin as compared to your unconjugated bilirubin. So therefore, ang ating expected result is that the total bilirubin is increased due to the fraction conjugated bilirubin. Normal ngayon si unconjugated bilirubin. Almost normal. So, yan. Okay, sa jaundice of the newborn naman tayo. Halimbawa, sa physiologic jaundice of the newborn. Diba? Remember natin, it is only the destruction of your maternal and old fetal RBCs. So, ang problem ngayon dito is that ang increase lang is the unconjugated bilirubin, normal si conjugated, increase si total bilirubin brought about the increased fraction of this part. Okay? So, yan. If ever pathologic jaundice naman ang problem natin, alin dito ang increase, alin dito ang normal. So, lahat increase sa pathologic jaundice of the newborn. Okay? Sa post-hepatic naman tayo. Post-hepatic jaundice, alin ang may problem? Yun yung mga structures after your liver. So, naiipon halos ang ating conjugated bilirubin. And then, naiipon din si unconjugated bilirubin dahil hindi sila makapag-pass through after the structures in the liver. So, therefore, the total bilirubin is increased due to both fractions are elevated. Okay, break tayo ulit, no? Since alam ko naman ubos na ang attention span din natin. So, proceed tayo with homework number 2 after nating intindihin ng mabuti yung mga didiscuss natin, no? Lalong-lalo na yung table ng expected results per condition. Okay? Intindihin nyo muna yon bago kayo magsagot ng homework number 2. And good luck!